Welcome to EduTap and welcome to the Finance 360-degree session. So in today's session, I have brought a very important notification for all of you that the RBI has recently released. That is, the master action has been released for the electronic trading platform. So there are guidelines that has been released by the Reserve Bank of India for the electronic trading platform, and these are the revised guidelines. So we will discuss that what are the guidelines that has been released, what is the net worth that has been notified. So all the important points that you need to know from the examination point of view, so that we will be discussing in today's session, okay? And I will tell you that what are the important points that you have to remember from the examination point of view from this master action, okay? So RBI has released this master action for the electronic trading platforms. So these are the set of guidelines that is released for the electronic trading platforms. So what are the electronic trading platforms and what are the important data points, so that we are going to discuss. So give me a thumbs up if I am clearly audible and visible and there is no problem that is coming. And do subscribe to the YouTube channel of EduTap if you have not done till now, as you will continue getting these relevant videos in the YouTube channel of our EduTap. Okay, now join our Telegram channel, because here you will get the PDF of the session and the link for the Telegram channel is provided in the description box below. So do join the Telegram channel to get the PDF of the session. Now starting with the session today, that is master action has been released by the Reserve Bank of India for the electronic trading platform direction 2025. So first of all, the draft master action, see, in 2019, actually in 2024, it was notified that the electronic trading platform, for the electronic trading platform, the guidelines have to be revised, okay? So first of all, in October 2018, the Reserve Bank had put in place a regulatory framework, the guidelines for the electronic trading platforms. And in 2024, it was said in the Statement on Developmental and Regulatory Policy document that we have to review and we have to revise the guidelines for the electronic trading platforms, okay? So there is the requirement, as there is the upgradation that is happening in the financial system of our country, as technological adoption is happening. So there is the requirement to modify the guidelines for the electronic trading platforms, okay? And there is more and more trade that has started through the electronic trading platforms. So there is more requirement, or there is revised regulations that is required for the electronic trading platform. So the RBI said that we will review the regulatory framework for the electronic trading platforms, and the revised regulatory framework will be issued separately, okay? So the draft master action was released in the RBI's website on April 2024. So you can understand that in Feb 2024, the RBI said that we are going to revise the electronic trading platform guidelines. The earlier guidelines will be revised, and the draft master action was released in the RBI website on April 29, 2024 to invite the comments or feedback from all the stakeholders, from the market participants. And now in June 2025, RBI has actually released the finalized master direction for the electronic trading platforms. So first of all, what are the electronic trading platforms? Anyone has any idea what is the electronic trading platform? The electronic trading platform. See, there are the stock exchanges. There is the National Stock Exchange, there is the Bombay Stock Exchange. So through the stock exchanges, there are transactions that happen, or you can buy the shares, okay? You can buy the shares, you can sell the shares, you can buy the securities, you can sell the securities through the National Stock Exchange or in the Bombay Stock Exchange. So the futures, the derivatives, now there are four kind of derivatives. There are four kind of derivatives, like the futures, the forwards, the options, and the swaps. Now the futures, the stock exchanges, in the stock exchanges you can buy the future contracts, but the forward contracts, they are bought or sold at over the counter. Over the counter means that through the electronic trading platforms, or by the two parties themselves, the forward contracts are signed, and the forward contracts are over the counter contracts. They are not traded in the stock exchanges. So the future contracts, they are traded on the stock exchanges, in the National Stock Exchange, Bombay Stock Exchange, but the forward contracts that are more customized in nature, so forward contracts, they are sold and bought over the counter through the electronic trading platforms and such. Clear? Is this clear? So this is the basic idea, that the electronic trading platform, they shall mean any electronic system other than the recognized stock exchange. So electronic trading platform is the electronic system other than a recognized stock exchange on which the transactions in eligible instruments as defined herein are contracted. So electronic trading platform, they are the trading platforms that are the electronic platforms other than the recognized stock exchange on which the transactions can happen on the eligible instruments. Now what are the eligible instruments? So the RBI has defined the eligible instruments as the securities, money market instruments, the foreign exchange instruments, derivatives or other instruments of like nature that may be specified by the Reserve Bank of India that are traded over the counter, that are traded through the electronic trading platform. Okay, so let me give you some examples so that it becomes more clear. Okay, so I had taken a session 3 months ago on the forward contracts in government securities. So the RBI had permitted the forward contracts in the government securities. Now as I have told you that the forward contracts, they are traded over the counter. They are traded through the electronic trading platforms or over the counter. So the forward contracts cannot be traded through the stock exchanges. So here you can see that when we were discussing the guidelines for the forward contract in government securities, we discussed that these forward contracts are over the counter, that they are traded over the counter and they are traded through the electronic trading platform. That means these forward contracts, they will be traded over the counter. So I hope this is clear that the forward contracts, they are traded over the counter. As well as there is foreign exchange instruments such as your dollar or rupees, your dollar, USD or INR forward contracts, they are also traded over the counter. They are also traded through the electronic trading platform. Then there are interest rate derivatives that are also traded over the counter or through the electronic trading platforms. Okay, so there are multiple instruments that are traded through the electronic trading platform. So majorly forwards are there, swaps and they are there and such. Okay, so this is the basic idea. Now coming to the guidelines of the master direction. Any confusion anyone has till now? Any confusion anyone? All clear? Now, see, these directions shall be called the Master Direction Reserve Bank of India Electronic Trading Platform Directions 2025, and these directions are issued to the entities that are operating the electronic trading platforms. So these directions are for the entities that operate the electronic trading platforms or on which transactions in the eligible instruments happen. The transactions are happening in the forward contracts, in the foreign exchange forward contracts, in the interest rate derivative contracts that are allowed through the electronic trading platform. Okay, these directions shall not apply to an electronic system. Now this is important, that on which entities these directions are not applicable. So these directions are applicable on entities operating the electronic trading platform, but these directions are not applicable, they shall not apply to an electronic system that is operated by a scheduled commercial bank or a primary dealer, standalone primary dealer, for transactions in eligible instruments in which the bank or the primary dealer is a party to all the transactions contracted on the system. So that means if the transaction is happening through the electronic system of a bank and that bank is a party to the transaction, that means either the bank is the seller or buyer in the transaction. So if the bank is a party in all the transactions, in this case this electronic system will not come under the directions. Okay, so these directions shall not apply to an electronic system that is operated by a scheduled commercial bank or a standalone primary dealer for transactions in eligible instrument wherein the bank or the standalone primary dealer, they are operating the electronic system and they are a party to all the transactions that are happening in the electronic system. Okay, and they are quoting the price or they are providing the price in the electronic system. So this is the idea. Provided that in respect of such electronic system, all scheduled commercial bank and standalone primary dealers, they shall provide any report, data, information that is asked by the Reserve Bank of India. So if Reserve Bank of India requires any information, that has to be provided by these entities. Okay, and RBI has said that later on, if RBI thinks that it is necessary to bring these electronic systems also under the direction, so RBI has the power to do so. RBI can bring these electronic system also under the regulation. It is as per the requirement of that time. Okay, but for now these directions will not apply on the electronic system that is operated by the standalone primary dealers or the scheduled commercial bank in which they are a party. Okay, now coming to the next point. So electronic trading platform, we have discussed. The eligible instruments we have discussed. So eligible instruments, they are the forward contracts, swap contracts that are traded over the counter, or they are traded through the electronic trading platforms. Okay, now eligibility criteria for authorization of ETP. So this is the most important part in this whole class. So here this clearly. An entity seeking authorization as an ETP operator. So an entity that is seeking authorization as an electronic trading platform operator to commence or carry on ETP operations shall fulfill the following criteria. So let's say that an entity wants to operate the electronic trading platform, or the entity wants to have an electronic trading platform. So how can the entity get the authority to operate the ETP? How the authorization can be, like how the ETP can get, or how the entity can get the authorization to run the electronic trading platform? So it has to follow certain directions. It has to follow certain criteria. General criteria is that the entity shall be a company incorporated in India, shareholding by the non-residents. If there is the shareholding by the non-residents, that means if the foreigners have a shareholding in the electronic trading platform, or if there is shareholding by non-residents, if any, in the entity that wants to have an electronic trading platform. So basically, let's say a entity XYZ wants to open a electronic trading platform and wants to get the authorization for the electronic trading platform. So the entity XYZ, first of all, it should be incorporated in India. The shareholding by the non-residents, if any, in the entity XYZ seeking authorization as an ETP operator shall conform to all the applicable law and regulation, including the Foreign Exchange Management Act. That means the shareholding by the non-resident should be under the limits that has been given under the Foreign Exchange Management Act. The entity XYZ seeking authorization as an ETP operator should have a minimum experience of at least 3 years in operating the trading infrastructure in financial markets, or at least the ETP, or at least the entity should have minimum of 2 of its key managerial persons shall have the experience of at least 3 years in operating trading infrastructure in financial markets. So that means if an entity wants to have the authorization to operate the electronic trading platform, so in this case the entity should have the minimum experience of 3 years in operating the trading infrastructure in the financial market, or at least if the entity does not have such a experience, so at least the ETP or at least the entity should have minimum two key managerial personnel that have such a experience. Okay, so these are the general criteria. Now coming to the financial criteria, an entity seeking authorization as an ETP operator under these directions shall have a minimum net worth of 5 crore. So always the minimum net worth criteria is very important. So minimum net worth should be of 5 crores and shall continue to maintain this minimum net worth. Okay, now last criteria is the technological criteria. So basically in the technological criteria, it has been said that the entity that wants to operate the electronic trading platform must have a robust technology infrastructure with a high degree of reliability, availability, scalability and security, because you can understand that so many of the transactions happen through the electronic trading platform. Through the electronic trading platform, the contracts are being bought and sold, and the amount of these contracts can be in crores, can be in huge amounts in dollars and such. Okay, and number of contracts will be traded between different entities. So electronic trading platform should have reliable, scalable, available and secure platform in respect of its systems, should have secure systems, data and network, and appropriate to support its operations. Okay, ensure capability to disseminate trade information on a real-time basis or near real-time basis. So see, if we are doing a transaction, let's say through the UPI we are doing the transaction, so on the real time, in seconds, we want the confirmation that okay, the transaction has happened, right? Similarly, when you are trading through the electronic trading platform, or you are buying this security, or you are selling the security, you require the confirmation immediately that okay, this has happened. Okay, otherwise you will see that amount has been cut from your bank and there is no information that you have got the security or not. So just think about it, that in the platform it is showing that the security is not allocated, but the amount has been cut from your bank account. So you will be afraid that when will you get the security, or is there some problem that has happened? Okay, and you will start raising the complaint. So on the real time basis, the information has to be disseminated that your money has been deducted from the bank, the information you will get, and on the real time basis you will get the information that you have got the security. So there should be capability to disseminate trade information on a real time basis or the near real time basis, as well as the price quotation should also be showcased in the near real time basis. Okay. Next is grant or cancellation. So now if a entity follow these criteria, follow the general criteria, has the relevant experience, financial criteria is followed, technological criteria is followed, and the entity wants to operate as an ETP, so the grant or cancellation of the authorization, this is in the hands of RBI. RBI can grant the authorization, or if RBI wants, can cancel the authorization of any particular entity. Okay, so entities satisfying the eligibility criteria, general criteria, financial criteria, and your technological criteria. So any entity that is following the eligibility criteria prescribed under the guidelines may submit an application through the Prava portal. So I hope you know the Prava portal. That is the platform through which the entities can send their applications, they can get the authorizations and validations. So through the Prava portal, the application has to be sent by the entity that wants to operate as a ATP, that want to operate the electronic trading platform. Okay, so this is the basic idea. Now RBI may call for any additional information that is required by the RBI if RBI wants. Other than this, if RBI wants any information that for how many years the entity is operating in India, for 10 years, for 15 years, for 20 years, for how many years, what is your total revenue that you are generating through the other services. So RBI can ask for different additional information that RBI thinks is necessary, as well as RBI can also ask for the information, or RBI can also demand the information related to any external grading or rating or any third-party assessment of the platform, or to seek any clarification or seek any clarification. Okay, the Reserve Bank may also obtain any additional information from the other regulators or other government departments, agencies and such, if let's say the entity is working under SEBI, or there is a insurance company that wants to become the ETP operator. So the IRDI, so insurance company must be working under the regulation of the Insurance Regulatory Development Authority of India. So through the IRDI, the information can be taken about this insurance company that want to operate the ETP under RBI. Okay, so the grant of authorization may be subject to the terms and condition. Now there are, let's say there are 10 entities that want to operate the electronic trading platform, and let's say 5 of the entities are following all the criteria. Now RBI, let's say RBI is permitting these 5 entities to operate the electronic trading platforms in the country. Now RBI can impose different terms and conditions on each of the entity. So different terms and conditions can be imposed on the entities that is required as per the authorization letter. So RBI, when permitting the entity to work as the ATP operator, can also impose additional terms and conditions. So the decision of the Reserve Bank of India to grant the authorization or to reject the authorization request or to cancel the authorization that has been granted already. So all these decisions are under the hand of RBI and it is final. The decision of RBI will be final. The authorization granted to an entity to operate an ETP, it is not transferable. It's not like that the insurance company has got the authorization to operate the ETP. Now it can transfer the authorization to some other entity. That is not possible. Okay, the Reserve Bank may initiate such steps as may be necessary, including imposing the additional conditions if there is any violation that the RBI has found from any entity that is operating the ETP currently. In case of cancellation of the authorization, let's say the ETP was working for 6 months or the entity was operating the ETP for 6 months, and now the entity is not able to handle the electronic trading platforms and there are many mistakes that are happening. The data is not coded correctly, the data is not reported correctly, the transactions are not shown correctly. So in case the RBI wants the cancellation of the authorization of the ETP, that can be done by the RBI. So in case of cancellation of authorization, the operator of the ETP has to stop immediately, or the ETP operator has to stop as per the date given by the Reserve Bank of India. So, and in such case, the ETP operator shall surrender the letter of authorization in original to the Reserve Bank of India. This is the basic idea. Now, operating framework. So, coming to the operating framework. So access and participation in the ETP operatorship. So basically operating framework, we will discuss the basic idea of operating framework, just the overall idea. You do not have to go too much in depth in this part. Okay. So operating framework, access and participation. An ETP operator shall have objective, fair and transparent membership criteria that who can become the member of the ETP to handle the whole of the ETP platform and the the members that can do the trade through the ETP and such. Undertake due diligence at the time of onboarding of all the members and maintain all relevant information about its members that are the part of the ETP. Okay. Identify its members uniquely using legal entity identifier. So legal entity identifier is a 20-character alphanumeric code used to uniquely identify parties to financial transactions worldwide. Okay, so legal entity identifier is like Aadhaar card. So the individuals, they get Aadhaar card or they get PAN card. So the entities, the big corporates or the big entities in the country, they are getting the legal entity identifier, that is a 20-character alphanumeric code used to uniquely identify the entities that are party to financial transactions. Okay, and or PAN. PAN is for individuals, PAN is for usually for the entities, the PAN is there, or the legal entity identifier. Okay, so this is the basic idea that the access is provided to the ETP, the access is provided to the electronic trading platform for the trade. So there should be these guidelines that should be followed, that there should be objective, fair and transparent membership criteria, and the members that are joining the ETP for trade, the legal entity identifier or the PAN number has to be taken and such. The ETP should make available pre-trade information as well as post-trade information has to be provided. So all these information has to be provided. Okay. Next is risk management. So ETP, of course, the electronic trading platform, it is a part of the whole financial system and it is allowing the transaction to happen between the different entities. So it has some risk associated also with its operations. They should be identified properly and they should be managed prudently. So for that, the ETP should have robust internal control framework. Okay, so these are some of the guidelines that the ETP should be following, that it should ensure access control for its members, that the members that are doing the trade, how much of the ETP they can access, how much of the facilities they can access, if they are small investors, so how much transaction they are able to do and such. So there should be some control that should be there. Prevent unauthorized access to the platform. The unauthorized access should be prevented if the person or the entity do not want to provide its LEI or do not want to provide its PAN or do not want to provide the information. So unauthorized access has to be prevented, and the access to the fraudsters has to be prevented by seeing that the LEI is wrong or the PAN number is wrong and such. Segregate the ETP from other financial services or infrastructure. Let's say the entity XYZ, it is providing the telecom services, it is providing the insurance services or such, and it is also working as ETP operator. So the other financial services like the insurance services has to be separated from the ETP services basically. So if you are engaged in different services, you have to separate your ETP services from the other services. Ensure that all trades on the system without exception are dealt within a fair, non-discretionary and orderly manner. Okay, prevent transactions that are not in compliance with the condition of authorization or with the prevailing legal or regulatory requirements and such. Next is that ETP operator that facilitates the participation of algorithm trading system. So algorithm trading system, the trade is processed or the trade, it happens through the software programs. Okay, so the trade that is happening through the software programs, that is originated by a software program through the help of the, so trade that is originated through the software program. So that is algorithm trading, right? So ETP operator that provides or facilitates the algorithm trading system should ensure that the personnel that is handling the algo systems, that is handling the algorithm systems, have the necessary skills and competence to handle the systems, as well as put in place a framework for testing and onboarding the algo systems if they are able to work properly or not. So for the algorithm trading, there should be risk management steps should be taken, that the algorithm trading, if a ETP operator is allowing, the algorithm system should also work properly as per the guidelines. It should not be discriminatory. It should be transparent in nature. Okay, so these are some of the risk management criteria that has to be followed, and the ETP, the electronic trading platform operator, should have a robust internal control framework. Okay, you don't have to remember each and every line, but just remember the overall idea that if algorithm trading is allowed, there should be complete directions that should be imposed on the algorithm trading. There should be transparency in the algorithm trading, that should be there. Surveillance. So electronic trading platform operator should also have the surveillance facility, should also ensure fair and orderly trading to maintain market integrity and monitor the trading activity. Transparency should be there, that it should be fair, non-discriminatory, transparent fee structure for its members should be there. Whoever is becoming the member, let's say you want to do forward contracts, or someone else wants to do swap contracts, someone else want the interest rate derivative, someone else want for the foreign exchange derivatives and such. So there should be fair, non-discriminatory and transparent fee structure for its members, for the trading members. Okay, conflict of interest, let's say the XYZ entity, let's say it has the insurance business, it has some other business also, or it has some subsidiary that is having some other business, and then it is working as the ETP operator also. Okay, so the XYZ company, the XYZ that is becoming the ETP operator, shall identify and disclose to the Reserve Bank the conflict of interest, if there is any, arising from the participation of related parties. Let's say XYZ is also connected with different subsidiaries, it is connected with different partners. So if there is any conflict of interest that can arise from the subsidiaries, that can arise from these partners, so that conflict of interest should be notified to the Reserve Bank of India, so that RBI is aware about it, that which are the group agencies or which are the related parties, and RBI can impose additional terms and conditions that are required. Okay, outsourcing of operations. So sometimes the ETP operators, they outsource some of the operations also. Let's say handling the data, or handling the cyber security, or handling the information technology system. So ETP operator which outsources its operations, technology or activities partially or fully shall ensure effective governance and risk management mechanism for managing all the risk that can arise through this outsourcing relationship. Okay, I will take the additional queries at the end of the session. If there is any problem in this particular topic, so ask me right now. Okay, business continuity and disaster recovery. So business continuity and disaster recovery, that means let's say your system has suddenly stopped working, there is some technological problem that has come, so there should be business continuity and disaster recovery plan that should be available in case there is any disaster that is coming. So the recovery of the system should happen, the business continuity plan should be present. So ETP operator shall have in place a suitable business continuity plan, including contingency and disaster recovery arrangements that are appropriate to the nature, scale and the function that it is doing. Okay, information security. So of course the information should be secure, there should be cyber security measures that has to be taken, data protection measures that has to be taken. IT or IS audit. Now this is important point. ETP operator shall carry out the information technology or information security audit at least once in a year by auditors with certified information system auditor certificates, or auditors empaneled, that is under the panel by Indian Computer Emergency Response Team, that is CERT India, or such other professional bodies. Okay, next is preservation, access and use of data. So here all data relating to activities on the ETP, so all the data related to the transactions that has happened through the electronic trading platform, they shall be maintained in easily retrievable media for at least 10 years. And in case let's say 9 years have passed and after that there is some data that is sought for any investigation by the Reserve Bank of India. So in the 9th year the RBI is taking some data, for the investigation. So once the investigation is happening of this data by the RBI or by any other government agency and such, so the data on which investigation has happened, that data has to be kept for at least 3 years from the date of completion of the investigation. Though the data would have been 9 years have passed, so the data had to be only kept for 10 years. But once the data is involved in the investigation, it has to be kept at least for 3 more years from the completion of the investigation. So this is the basic idea, that all the data relating to activities on the ETP shall be maintained in easily retrievable form for at least 10 years, but without prejudice to this. If the investigation is happening on the data, that data has to be kept at least 3 years from the date of completion, at least. Okay, so this is the idea. Now coming to the last point, that is reporting requirements. So an ETP operator shall furnish a quarterly report. So let's say we are talking about the quarter January, February, or let's say we are talking about the quarter of April, May, June. So in a quarter there are 3 months. So April, May, June. So as soon as the quarter has finished in June, so 15th of July, by 15th of July, the report has to be provided for the quarter. So ETP operator shall provide a quarterly report, that is in a quarter there are 3 months, 3-month report on the functioning of the platform to the Reserve Bank in the form as prescribed by the Reserve Bank on 15th day of the month following the quarter. So the month following the quarter is July. So on the 15th, before 15th or on 15th July, the report has to be provided. ETP operator shall furnish a report, a yearly report has to be provided to the Reserve Bank of India on 30th April of the succeeding financial year. So let's say the 2024-25 financial year has finished on 31st March 2025. So now the report has to be provided by 30th April 2025. Okay, this is the idea. And ETP operator shall report transaction information to any trade repository. So if the transactions are happening, let's say 5 forward contracts have been signed. So in regards to those forward contracts, the trade repository should get the information from the ETP operator. So ETP operator shall report the transaction information to any trade repository or reporting platform in the format and within the time frame that is prescribed by the Reserve Bank of India. ETP operator shall also provide any report, data or information as required by the Reserve Bank of India in the format that RBI wants, and shall provide data information to other agencies or authorities under the government as may be required. ETP operator shall keep the Reserve Bank of India informed in regards to any event resulting in disruption of activities or market abuse. If market abuse has happened, let's say there is a transaction that has happened that should not have happened through the ETP platform. So in case of market abuse or in case of disruption, the RBI has to be informed by the ETP. Okay. Now termination of operation. So this is the last part. So an ETP operator who is holding a letter of authorization and who was operating, let's say an entity who was operating the electronic trading platform, now it wants to stop its operation of electronic trading platform. So the termination of operation, the entity itself wants to stop its operation. So in this case, permission has to be taken from the Reserve Bank of India, and after the permission has been taken, in such case the ETP operator shall surrender the authorization to the Reserve Bank of India. Okay. So with prior approval of the Reserve Bank of India with regard to timing and the date of termination of operation, it's not like that I have decided that from today I will stop working. So it's not like that from tomorrow I will not come to office. No, I have to serve a notice period, right? So similarly, ETP, if it decides to terminate its operation, if it decides to stop its operation, it's not like that today it can stop its operation. No, it will get the timeline from the RBI that, okay, you will have to work for 3 more months because there are some transactions that have happened through you. So you have to work 3 more months, and the timeline has to be taken from the Reserve Bank of India, and then the ETP can get the date on which it can close down, and it has to it has to surrender the letter of authorization back to RBI. Now, other directions, the Reserve Bank of India, on being satisfied that it is necessary to do so, may exempt any ETP operator or class of ETP operators, either generally or for such period as may be specified by RBI, from any of the provisions in the direction. So RBI has the power to exempt any ETP operator or class of ETP operators from any provisions in the direction. Okay, as well as the Reserve Bank may selectively grant authorization for operating ETPs even if many of the entities they are following the criteria as per defined in the direction, but RBI has the power to selectively decide that which ETP will get the authorization or which entity will get the authorization to work as ETP operator. Okay, any confusion, anyone? So this is it. See, if you have any confusion, you can comment down below, as well as this is Perspective 360-degree series that Monday, Wednesday and Friday you get the session at 5 p.m. Okay, Monday, Wednesday, Friday you get the session at 5 p.m. and this series help you in the answer writing as well as the recent topics that are there. So these recent topics are discussed in this session that are important from your answer writing practice for the RBI or NABARD examination. As well as in the next session, there is an important topic that I am going to pick up, that is data quality index. So that is important. There is a like separate guidelines that have been released. So that also we are going to discuss. So in the next session, we will discuss the supervisory data quality index. Okay. Now this is the first question. I hope you will be easily able to answer this question. If there is any confusion, you can comment down below and do try to answer this question. Easy question. If you have understood the criteria for the authorization, you will be able to answer this question. And this is the second question. Do try to answer this question. Okay. Yes, I will take the session on the KYC amendment, but in the next session, first we will discuss about the supervisory data quality index. And after that session, then we will discuss about the KYC amendments. Okay. On Tuesday, then I will take the KYC amendments. मैम आप इसमें सारी नोटिफिकेशन प्रेस रिलीज लेते हैं आरबीआई वेबसाइट के या सिर्फ इम्पोर्टेंट? सो सी मोस्टली the most difficult or the most important topics, the most difficult and the most important topics are covered in Finance 360. And if there is the small or very minor topics, so most difficult and most important RBI notifications, RBI press releases get covered in Finance 360. If there are the smaller ones, if there are smaller topics that are left, so that get covered in the revision session, Okay, revision session are conducted on the monthly basis. So in the monthly revision session, the extra small topics are also covered. Now, okay, if you have any confusion, you can comment down below and do try to answer in the comment section that what are the answer for the homework question. If you have any confusion, do ask that also.